Hey there and welcome. Happy Thursday afternoon. This is Meteorologist Aaron Colby. We're taking a look now at the tropics. We do have a lot going on, and let's talk about exactly what's happening out there. Of course, all eyes on a tropical wave that is moving through portions of the Caribbean. We're going to be talking about that over the next couple minutes. So let's jump straight into this. Let's take a look at what's going on out there right now. Quick update on the tropics here. Things, of course, have continued to shift very slowly to the west over the past couple of updates, and here's the current outlook. This is now a high chance of forming within the next 2 to 7 days. That would be becoming a tropical depression or storm somewhere within the red highlighted area. And let's take a look at what this looks like right now. Of course, we continue to track this very disorganized tropical wave. It has now become organized enough to designate itself as Invest 97L. That's what we'll be calling it from now on until it earns a next name. Next name on the list would be Debbie. And you can see here it's still fairly disorganized, struggling to make it across some of these islands. Of course, tropical systems don't like these heavy terrained islands, so it's having a very hard time keeping itself organized as it moves through some of these larger islands such as Hispaniola and Cuba. And as it continues to approach Florida, we're going to learn a lot more information about how organized this will become. Of course, the organization is going to be a huge determining factor in exactly where this ends up going. And you can see here most of the forecast models have kind of fallen into two different scenarios. Scenario one, keeping it much closer to the Florida coast, moving its way through the very far eastern Gulf, through the Florida Keys, and making landfall in the Big Bend region. While a second scenario, most of the clusters of those models on the further left side brings it a little bit further out into Apicula area or even closer to Pensacola. So of course, we're going to have to continue to watch this over the next several hours. It still doesn't have a very well-defined center. As you can see, towards where the models are initiating from, it's having a very hard time determining exactly where the center is going to form as it continues to begin to consolidate. Take a look at the steering pattern, and unfortunately an extremely weak steering pattern exists over the next couple days. Two very large high pressure zones that are both weakening and moving away from this system. A trough to the north which hasn't strengthened very much. So overall, an extremely weak steering pattern. And that does mean, you can see here, that we are still kind of stuck in those two possible scenarios. One a little bit further west, the other a little bit further north. And the only questions we still have left is exactly where the center will form and exactly how organized this is once it leaves the Greater Antilles. Until then, we really don't have a ton of information on exactly where this is going to end up going. Of course, as we continue to approach the peak of hurricane season, so most of the activity really does begin to spark as we head into August. September being the climatological peak of hurricane season. We're going to have to continue to keep an eye on the tropics as we learn more about these different tropical waves that continue to move out across some of the area. Here's where we are on the Atlantic list. We have had two tropical storms so far, Alberto and Chris. And of course, Hurricane Beryl moved through the Caribbean and the Gulf, and becoming one of the earliest Category 5 storms in history. And of course, the next couple names on the list, we have Debbie, Ernesto, and Francine. And as for now, the 7-day forecast here in South Mississippi, going to stay extremely hot over these next couple days. We're seeing highs in the mid to upper 90s across some of the area. Rain chances staying fairly low. Could see a slight increase in rain chances going into the weekend and then drying out once again. If this system moves over to our east, we will continue to see that drier conditions as we are on that far east side or far west side of the storm once it does form. So just keep an eye out. We'll continue to provide updates as we learn more about this system currently designated as Invest 97L. And as we learn more, we'll continue to update online, on the web, on social media, and on air as well. So stay tuned for more updates from the WLOX First Alert Weather Team.